Also, you're going to find that state very
How's everybody doing today? I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to log in and get settled. It looks like we do still have a few people waiting to join us. For some housekeeping, if you're not familiar with the go-to panel, if it is on top of your presentation in your screen, you may need to minimize it or move it. So you can do that by clicking the red button, the red square with the white arrow in it pointing to the right, and that should minimize your toolbar very small. You can also move it off of your screen. We will not be sharing our cameras during the entire presentation, but when we do, if the cameras are in your view, you can also pull those off the screen or minimize those. We do have a smaller group of people today, and so for the Q&A portion, if you're comfortable at the end, we are happy to turn on everyone's microphones so that you can ask your question directly to Jamil, and he's happy to answer those questions for you. If you're having any other trouble viewing the screen, you may need to go up to the top of your go-to panel and click on the view and choose full view versus windows. That may give you more room. If you're having any trouble with your audio, you may need to go into your audio section. You want to be logged in either into your computer or your phone, not both. If you have both, you might be hearing an echo. If you have any questions, you can type those into the chat section. We will have a Q&A at the end, but again, for those that are comfortable, we're happy to turn the microphones on and let you chat directly with Jamil. In your handouts portion of your web go-to panel, we do have two PowerPoints included. One is the slides that we're going over today. The other is a nice little handout that Jamil has provided us, giving us some key steps toward achieving your personal and business financial goals, which are some of the topics that we're going to be reviewing today. After the webinar, you will be sent a copy of the video. And also at the exit of the webinar, you're going to receive a survey. Please do just take a moment and give us your candid, positive feedback, as well as any areas that we could improve upon. We do use that, and we want to continue to provide you value. We know that everyone's time is limited and valuable, so we do appreciate that you're here. And let's see here, it's about 2 after. I'm going to go ahead and move through. And then once we get settled, again, we will open it up at the Q&A at the end. So I'm Mia Walker. I'm with Payroll Partners. I am the Client Engagement Manager here. And you may not be familiar with this, or I'm sure some of you are, but we've been in business for over 24 years. We're based here in Arlington, Texas. We primarily focus on small businesses as well as nonprofit organizations. And we provide payroll, timekeeping, and human resources services to small and mid-sized businesses. So I'm going to introduce Jamil. Jamil, I know him from the Arlington Chamber of Commerce. He's a very active member. He comes from a long line of entrepreneurs. His family actually owns a farm here in Ennis called Ahmed Farms. And then they have some grocery stores, restaurants, and a few other businesses. When he worked for a jewelry store, he actually supervised over 100 employees across 4 states. So he has some great experience and has made this change to work for Edward Jones, because just from what I've seen, he has a passion for helping people and enjoys really being a trusted advisor in his community. He's definitely a busy man. He's been married to his beautiful wife, Nargis, for 9 years, and they have 2 little ones, a 2.5 and a 1-year-old running around at home. And then on top of all that, he is still continuing on working on himself. So he's working on his CFP right now. So I appreciate you being here, Jamil, and I'm going to let you run with the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mia, for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to turn off my camera as I start the presentation. I'm used to being just looking at people and not staring into a camera. Sometimes I start looking away from it when I'm doing the camera. So I want you guys to actually get a full benefit rather than see me not looking in the direction of you. And I think that's important. So like Mia said, my name is Jamil Ahmed. I'm with Edward Jones Investments. I'm here in Arlington, Texas. And I've lived in Arlington on and off for about 10 years. I did live in Missouri and Iowa for a little while. But I became a financial advisor because I really found that there's a need for helping people understand the tools and the resources that are available for them in their financial goals. And that's a big reason why I started pursuing the career. The other part of it is the family aspect of it. I feel like it's important to be able to leave a legacy and be able to help individuals grow their family and build their family. And I was at a point where I was growing and building my family, and what better time than to make all changes altogether. So today's seminar is really designed for you, the business owner, and it's to help you understand the tools that are available to you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And then we'll have some time for questions at the end, and I'll bring myself back onto camera to answer those questions as well, okay? I am trying to get the slide to move here, Mia.
Try it now, Jamil.
Okay. There we go, perfect. Okay, so as a business owner, the one thing you want to keep in mind is day-to-day activities are probably different for each of us, but many of us have things that are in common. So for example, a lot of us are actually strapped for time. Some of us actually have some financial pressures, and we share those in common. But if you have employees, then there's a different set of challenges that comes with employees. Also, we have to take into consideration the tax issues with owning a business. And then in addition, we also probably face pressures that are very similar to or unique to each of our industries and respective businesses. The one thing that you also got to keep in mind is we have a vision for what our business should look like. And sometimes the vision can get clouded. And mainly that's because we're having to wear so many different hats. We tend to be the HR person, we tend to be the manager, the marketer, the salesperson, and the general go-to person for any sort of problem solving. So it's important that you find the equation that gives you the best mix of operational, business, and personal financial excellence. And here at Edward Jones, what we call that is the entrepreneurial equation. So it's important to develop the equation that's unique to you. And it really requires engaging a team of professionals that can help you in a wide range of business needs. So the team typically consists of an accountant that's going to help you with taxes or cash flow, a company like Payroll Partners to help you with payroll and expenditures, an attorney for your business structure, your succession planning, your estate planning, and a financial advisor to keep an eye on the business and your personal goals. So we also tend to look at the investment needs that you have and help make sure that you have the appropriate amount of insurance to protect those goals. The financial advisor typically has to be familiar with the business that you're in and really understand the personal financial history so that we can help coordinate the efforts of the entire team. So think of us as a quarterback on a football team. We tend to help orchestrate decisions that are right not only for your personal situation, but also for your business in the near and long terms. The way we do that is really through 5 key steps. One of the things I discuss when I talk about these 5 steps is really a GPS. So when you go into a GPS and you're looking at the map on the GPS, there's typically a dot, and that dot represents where you are today. So 1 on this wheel is representing where you are today. So let's say we wanted to go to Washington. From here, I'm in Arlington, Texas. We're traveling to Washington. If we're traveling to Washington, that's where you'd like to be. So you enter in the address of where you're going. And the GPS tends to give you multiple routes to be able to get you there. On that GPS, there's usually different ways that you can get there. So I think nowadays you could enter that you're taking a bus, a car, you're taking a bike or walking, right? So the number 4 is how do you get there? So can I get there? How do you get there? The how do you get there is the step-by-step direction that is built out on each of the paths that the GPS provides you. If you are driving, how many bridges are you going to cross? Are you okay with crossing those bridges? Are you afraid of water and you don't want to go over water? Does that make an impact? And then number 5 is how do you stay on track? So with any GPS, if you make a wrong turn or if you start to veer off course, it typically tells you recalculating or tells you to make a U-turn. In this case, number 5, how do you stay on track, is really reviewing your goals so that you can make sure that the plan and path that you had started with is still the same, or if it needs tweaking. So the 5 steps is a great way to start addressing some of the issues and concerns that you might have now or in the future, so you can be prepared for whatever comes your way. The one thing I want you guys to remember also is this is not the only method, right? This is a method. So there's multiple ways of making sure that you have the ability to focus on your goals. This is the method that we use, which is the 5-step process. So regardless of the type of business that you own, you're going to have 3 key goals. And that's, first, you want to build and develop the business. Second, you want to be able to create value outside of the business. And third, you want to be able to preserve the business so that you're going to be able to pass it on as value to your successors. So that could be any of your heirs, or if you were planning on selling the business, the subsequent owner. The thing that you want to talk about when you're building your business is some of the simple banking services that's going to help you with cash flow management and how beneficial that they may be. And especially those cash flow, if they're helping you save time or with time management. So once again, just to reiterate, a service like Payroll Partners is going to take care of payroll issues. That might actually help you save time in your business, because that's something that you're not going to have to do. So for example, managing payroll, like I said, but you might want to consider thinking about business credit cards for key employees. And these employees are going to be individuals who entertain or travel often and help with business development. The cards are also a great way to track spending automatically. So it's not something that you're going to have to do by getting receipts and paperwork. They may already have that put in. Additionally, if you need liquidity or immediate cash flow, you may want to think about securing a traditional loan, or you may even think about a margin loan. And that's where your investments in your brokerage accounts are used to secure a credit line. In fact, automated banking services are now available, and they're a great way to help you save more time in a busy schedule. And that way you could do what's more important to you, and that's running your business. The other considerations we have is to grow, you have to be able to attract and retain key employees. And this means offering the right benefits package and considering a quality retirement plan, or even looking at options to be able to provide educational plans like 529 plans that are complementary to employers to set up and complementary for employees to be able to invest in. They do have internal investment costs, but upfront costs are nearly nothing. So these are types of benefits that potential employees are going to start looking for or are already looking for. The other thing you want to think about is there a key person within your business that's going to be making or breaking you if something were to happen to them? So think about it this way. A chef in a restaurant, if they're the main chef and they're a phenomenal cook, if they go away, what happens to your restaurant? A project manager that's going to be taking on a big bulk portion of the business or a project within the business, what if they go away? What happens to that project? A sales manager that has driven sales up over the years. If they go away, what happens? So a person whose absence that's going to completely change your business, that's who that would be. As you build the solid business, the one thing you want to ask yourself is, do I need to worry about some of these things? And you need to think back and think to Murphy's Law. Anything bad that can happen will happen. And you need to start asking those questions. So now let's talk about creating value outside of your business. So many of us consider our business to be our retirement plan. In addition to running a successful business, you're also going to be having to provide for yourself and your family over the long term. So as I mentioned before, offering a retirement plan can help you build your business by helping attract and retain quality employees. But it's going to also help you create value outside of your business. So look at it this way. In addition to your role as a business owner, you're also an investor. It makes good sense for you to diversify your assets and retirement income so that you're not going to have to put your entire retirement nest egg into your business. Saving outside the business means that you control your retirement rather than depending on the sale of the business to fund the retirement needs. There's no crystal ball that's going to tell you what it's going to be worth when you're ready to retire. In one scenario, it could only be worth the equipment, building, and inventory, which may not be enough to support your lifestyle in retirement. And frequently, when the business is sold, the owner has to finance a portion of it. So last, the right retirement plan may enable you to benefit from several tax advantages. So you want to think about the tax credit for a business owner setting up a new plan. You want to think about the tax deductions for making contributions to the plan. You want to think about pre-tax salary deferrals, tax deferred growth on balances inside a plan. I also want to think about potential tax-free retirement income if a Roth IRA deferral was made. So what your financial advisor would do in this case is work with your CPA and help you determine what would be best from your tax perspective. So when you start thinking about a plan that is right for you, it's good to start considering 4 questions. So the first question you're going to think about is, what's your retirement goal? You want to think about a properly structured plan that considers how much you can contribute for yourself. Second, you want to think about, if I have employees, they have retirement goals too. And then, do I want to contribute on their behalf? Third, you want to think about, are you willing to give your employees more so that you can maximize your own contribution? And finally, some plans allow you to contribute more for yourself than required to contribute for your employees. But these plans typically have higher costs, and though they have higher benefits to you, that's going to allow you to save more to meet your own goals. And so you might save more in taxes that way. And is that important to you? So it's important to understand the costs associated with the plan. With those things in mind, let's look at the options that you have. So if you have no employees, you have these 3 options. You have a SEP IRA, which is a simplified employee pension. You have an owner 401k or a defined benefit plan. And the plans differ primarily by how much you can contribute for yourself. So when you're looking at a SEP, if you're looking for an easy, inexpensive plan that has flexible employer contributions, so if you have no employees, have some employees, or plan to hire, a SEP may still be suitable for you. There's no limit to the number of employees you can have, but the SEP primarily is appropriate for business owners with no employees, or if you have less than 10 employees. If you have employees, you must be willing to contribute on their behalf for all employees that are eligible in the plan at approximately the same level of contribution. So the other option is doing an owner-only 401k, and it's going to allow higher contribution limits for a SEP, and it's going to allow for catch-up if you're over 50. However, the owner-only 401k or the simplified 401k plan is for a business that has no employees other than the owner and his or her spouse. So the last thing to think about is if you want to contribute more for yourself than allowed by the SEP or the owner only, you would want to consider the defined benefit plan. This works best if you're 45 years or older, earn over 100,000 annually, and you can contribute for at least 3 years. The plan allows the highest contribution level, and that typically is over $100,000 a year. So what if you have employees? What does that mean? That means you have options to be able to do the simple IRA. You can do a 401k, and that includes the safe harbor 401k. Or third, you have an option to customize a plan that's right for you and your business. So a savings incentive match plan for employees, or a simple IRA, is a good option because it allows the business owners and key employees to defer contribution. So even if other employees choose not to contribute to the plan, you as a business owner or key employees can still defer to the plan. The business must either make a small contribution to employees, or you have to be able to commit to a small matching contribution to be able to receive this benefit. A traditional 401k is going to allow for employees to contribute to the plan on a pre-tax basis, and that's going to allow you to reduce your taxable income. The plan's also going to allow for Roth deferrals, and that means that it's contributed on an after-tax basis, and it has the potential to grow tax-free. So keep in mind with a traditional 401k, the amount owners and highly compensated employees can contribute is limited by how much all the other employees contribute. So low deferrals by employees means low deferrals for business owners and highly compensated people. So that might lead you to think about other options. So that means custom plans are specifically designed plans or a combination of plans that are working together, like having a 401k, a profit sharing, and or a defined benefit plan. So these plans are going to allow you to maximize the contribution for yourself as an owner and select employees. And there's not going to be a significant increase in contributions required for employees. So the benefits these plans offer to owners and key employees, if desired, can far outweigh any extra administrative or contribution costs. So proper plan design is really driven by how much you want to contribute for yourself, how much you want to contribute for your employees, and some of the other considerations to think about when designing a proper plan is plan fees, expenses, and administration. So I would suggest to discuss all of these options with your financial advisor, and he or she can help you understand what's best for you and provide you some information to be able to make the right decision. So we're going to shift and talk a little bit about how you can protect your business. So you work so hard to build it, you created some value at the same time. One of the key things to think about is how can I protect the business and provide some personal or think about personal life insurance as well. So if the unexpected were to happen, insurance can help protect your business and personal interests. So it could take care of some of the outstanding obligations that you might have, such as paying for a child's education or paying off an outstanding mortgage, or even thinking about, well, what happens to me and how much final expenses might I have? There's other things to think about as well. So what if I wanted to be able to save more for retirement than what my retirement plans allow? So life insurance retirement plan, or LIRP, is something that we're going to talk a little bit about later. So I want to talk to you about the importance of protecting your business, and I'm going to do that with a story about Sue. This might hit home a little too close for you. I know for me, I've had experiences like this in my career, and it really does hit home when I talk about these stories. But Sue is a very successful flower shop owner. She owns Forever in Bloom. She works with a wide variety of clients and provides a number of floral services. but she's found her niche, and it's become weddings. So the company does and is on target to do about 300 weddings this year, and that's roughly 6 per weekend. So one of the biggest reasons that many people choose Forever in Bloom to handle their special events is mainly because for the last 8 years, Jenny has been Sue's chief floral designer. She uses a team of a dozen or so assistants, and Jenny designed floral masterpieces for thousands of events. She's done extravagant weddings to small and simple affairs. And without Jenny's expertise, Sue might be in a very different situation in a very different business. So how can Sue protect her business that she's worked so hard to build? In what happens if something happens to Jenny? So just think about this. So one day Jenny's working around the house. Jenny falls off a ladder and breaks her back. Although her surgery is successful, the rehab and recovery time are a little bit longer than what was expected. So she's off of work for 6 months. She comes back and she's only able to work a few days a week. So Sue's going to have to depend on Jenny's team of assistants to be able to create the beautiful floral arrangements that she's done in the past. The thing that she can't control, though, is if somebody's wanting Sue, they're not going to want anyone but Sue, or but Jenny, I'm sorry. So if Sue had taken out key person disability insurance on Jenny, she would have been protected because she would have been able to maintain an income similar to what she experienced when Jenny was working. So the bottom line is key person insurance would allow Sue the time that she needed to let Jenny heal, but make sure that she wasn't losing thousands of dollars in the process. So instead of Jenny being hurt, what would have happened if Jenny died in the process? And that would have been an unfortunate circumstance, but what would have happened with Sue's business? And to think about it, it may have been in quite a bit of trouble. So what if she had taken out key person life insurance on Jenny? So in that case, Sue would have been protected because it would have been able to provide money to help with the loss of income until Jenny could have been replaced. So we're going to look at a different scenario. Let's say Jenny wasn't hurt. She didn't die, but her client list kept growing. So her business kept growing. She started having phenomenal results, and she walks into a coffee shop, and there's a competitor across town that happens to be at the coffee shop at the same time, and she gets offered a job that's going to pay her more than what she's getting from Sue. So we've already looked at what happens what happens to Sue when Jenny leaves. So how could Sue protect herself and her business now that Jenny is going to a competitor? So Sue could offer deferred compensation. So deferred compensation is an agreement that's going to be able to help retain key employees by paying them a predetermined amount, but only once a milestone is reached. So the funds are typically kept with an insurance policy, and in the situation, Sue can create that future benefit for Jenny, but only if she stays at Forever in Bloom. The thing you want to keep in mind is it needs to be substantial enough to make Jenny stay rather than making the switch to the competitor. So we're going to look at a different situation. And in this case, we're going to look at Joe and Rick, and they happen to be business partners who started A1 Trucking. A1 Trucking is a regional trucking company, and it was started about a decade ago, but since then it has gone national, and they started moving goods from just portions of the country to the entire country, and for some of the largest corporations in America. So last week, Joe had a heart attack, and unfortunately, Joe passed away, and it left Rick with two possible new business partners, Joe's wife and one of Joe's kids. But neither of them have ever had any part in the business ever. So the transition after Joe's death would have been much different if Joe and Rick had set up a buy-sell agreement, and they did that through their corporate attorney. The buy-sell agreement establishes a plan for the remaining partner to be able to purchase the business on an agreed upon price. So it's something that they agree upon while they're still alive, and it helps the family of the deceased partner. So frequently these agreements are funded with life insurance. All or at least a significant part of the purchase price could come from the insurance proceeds. So in this case, the value of the business would be preserved and for the remaining partner. And in Rick's purchase after Joe's death, it's going to be able to provide some liquidity to Joe's spouse and family. So what if Joe instead had major bypass surgery, and after a change in lifestyle and months of rehab, returned to work? Disability insurance would help replace his income and help protect Joe's family from experiencing any sort of financial hardship during his recovery. One last story, and this is about Jim. So Jim is an extremely successful accountant. He has three sons, but he's worked with one of them at the firm. And because of the success and his ability to be able to invest more than what his retirement plan allows, Jim chose to invest in a life insurance retirement plan, or a LIRP. So the LIRP is an insurance policy. It's designed for retirement savings, and it's well suited for Jim because of his high income. And the high income excludes him from being able to contribute to a Roth IRA, which allows him for that tax-deferred or the tax-free growth. The LIRP has special tax advantages, and that's mainly because it's a life insurance policy, and Jim can take the money out income tax-free. So a LIRP can also provide for long-term accumulation that's going to allow him to supplement the retirement income. And because it's a life insurance policy, when Jim dies, it's going to be able to provide for his dependents as well. So now Jim needs to figure out what he needs to do with this accounting firm when he's finished working, and that happens to be an estate issue. So first, Jim needs to make sure that there's enough liquid assets that's going to pay for his final expenses, it's going to take care of the taxes, and then if he doesn't do that, his heirs could be forced to liquidate the business, in which case, that legacy would not have been preserved. So as I mentioned before, there's one son working with Jim, and if he chooses to leave the business to his son, he may want to be able to offer something to his other children. So it's called estate equalization. And depending on the situation, Jim can use life insurance to make sure that all three of his sons receive the amount that makes sense for each of them. But it's also a great way to look at your business when we're talking about the 5-step process that we talked about early on, and make sure that this is relevant to your business. So you got to ask yourself, what are your goals? What could stop me from achieving them? And how can I protect against that while continuing to make sure that I'm taking every opportunity for my business? So as a business owner, you have many tools at your disposal, and they're going to help you achieve your goals and or keep you from being derailed from them. They happen to be banking services, retirement plan options, and many types of insurance policies. So before I wrap up and start taking some questions, let's take a couple minutes to review. So there's no one right answer on how to build, grow, or preserve your business. You need to be able to find your own entrepreneurial equation. and they're going to be based on your needs and goals. As your business changes or grows, so will your needs as a business owner. So depending on the type or size of business you own, the tools that are available to you are going to stay the same, but your equation is going to change based off of what your needs are in the business. The other thing to think about is the strong professional team that's going to be able to listen to your needs and do so together so that they can help you choose the right tools that's going to help you efficiently manage your business today and in the future. The right entrepreneurial equation can save you time, attract and retain the best of the best, and preserve what you worked so hard to grow for yourself and your heirs. So at this time, I'm going to open it up for some Q&A, and I'm going to bring back Mia.
Yes, thanks so much, Jamil. That was really good information. I guess I'll join you here. So I have a few questions here. So is the safe harbor plan, the traditional plan, is that the only pre-tax plan? That you mentioned that one was pre-tax.
So pre-tax plans are, so 401ks, SEP, Simples, all of them can be pre-tax deferrals.
Okay.
So safe harbor does, that is an option to allow for that as well. Roth is the only one that's going to be an after-tax. There's also after-tax deferrals available in other programs as well.
Okay. And when you were speaking about deferred compensation, I was just curious if you had any idea of how much in the future do companies?
So that really depends. So I'll tell you my personal example of deferred compensation. At one point I did receive deferred compensation. The options I had was a 5-year plan. So I had to defer a portion of my compensation for 5 years. So if I had a short-term goal, that might be beneficial. If I ever left the company within that 5-year timeline, my money is still secure. Now, there are other things that may make my money unsecured, and that really deals with how long the longevity of the company and the stresses that they may be facing. On the other side, they can choose to make that deferred compensation a retirement plan. And so now it becomes a deferred compensation when you reach retirement age. And in the case of corporations, that tends to be, you tend to either have access at 55 or later. But my option was I can have my plan in 5 years, or I can have that when I'm 55. And I have to pick that beforehand. I can't make a switch between the two. So it really depends on how you want to set it up, and we would work together on building that and setting that up as an option.
Okay, all right. And so what do you think? I think one of the biggest things I took away is that a lot of people do set up and envision their businesses being part of their, not only part of their retirement, but also part of their legacy, and usually have plans to pass it down or have their children run it or whatever the case might be. But more often than not, don't have these actual plans in place so that somebody can steer the ship, or that they're not having to go through probate and things like that. So this is really good information. We really appreciate it, Jamil. I hope everybody took something away from that. I'm sure that you did. If you'd like to have a more in-depth conversation with Jamil, I am going to send his contact information out through email, and you'll receive that with the video of this webinar, I believe. And he is located here in Arlington, right off of Cooper. His phone number is 817-460-5311. And I believe your consultations are free. Is that right?
They are. So absolutely free, no obligation.
No charge to talk, right?
No charge to talk. That's the right way of doing business.
Yes, and again, you are going to receive a survey when the window pops up. Please just take a few minutes to fill it out for us. You can't hurt our feelings, but do please be nice. And again, we appreciate your time. We know everyone's busy. I think we're going to wrap up early. I'm sure nobody will complain about that. I know it's a busy new year. Again, Jamil, thank you so much. Do you have anything else to say?
No, absolutely. Thank you guys, everybody, and Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I actually missed a question, but
Well, I can
Robert,
answer it if you.
yeah, all right. Jamil, or let's see, this information evolves around planning for an entrepreneur. Do you specifically also offer planning for non-business owners?
So we do, and so it really, some of the same things are still available. If you are an employee and there are retirement benefits that are available to you, it's probably a good idea to discuss and plan for what that's going to look like for you and what you can do. Once again, those consultations are complimentary. There's no charge for that, and there's no requirement to do business or anything like that attached with it. But I do recommend that everyone, regardless of age or situation, talks to a financial planner at some point just to get an idea of what resources are available. Because it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter taking the time to get to understand something that might help you in the future. If it's not beneficial for you now, it's okay. I think it's always important to learn what's available out there, and I think that sort of answers the question in a long way. But
I think it did. Thank you. That was from Robert. So yes, Jamil, you do business as well as personal planning, right?
correct, absolutely.
Great. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions coming in, but if anybody needs to reach out to Jamil, we will give you his phone number, his email, and every other way that you can reach out to him. And please look for our next topic to be announced. The webinar date is March 25th, and we'll have the topic announced soon. We are planning to continue with these every 8 weeks or every other month for the rest of the year, so we do appreciate your participation, and please feel free to share this with anybody that you think might be interested. Thank you guys so much. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye
Awesome.
now.